two places at once. It's impossible. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday book launch. I have been really excited about tonight. My name is Malika Albrecht, and I'm the founding editor of Redheaded Stepchild. And tonight we have, and y'all have, I wish I had been recording conversation. We've already seen a Luna moth, female Luna moth laying eggs, and Kai is preparing, I guess, to be a grandmother of 200, which is fabulous. 200 eggs. So tonight we get to celebrate, and this is someone who I deeply admire, not only as a poet, but as a person and as someone who holds space and is welcoming for so many of us. And for a lot of us, Wednesday night poetry was how we got through the pandemic. And I see Regina nodding her head. Yeah, Regina, that was a huge turning point for you as well.
Absolutely.
That community. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm going to do a brief bio, and then I'm going to turn it over because I know we really want to keep our focus and celebration tonight on this new book. Kai Coggin is the inaugural Poet Laureate of the city of Hot Springs, Arkansas, and author of 5 collections, most recently, Mother of Other Kingdoms. Harbor Editions 2024. And yeah, somebody held it up. And Mining for Stardust was another one that we got to celebrate. She is a certified master naturalist, a K through 12 teaching artist in poetry with the Arkansas Arts Council, and a CATALYZE Grant Fellow with Mid-America Arts Alliance. I also saw that you were a guest editor for SWWIM. You're everywhere.
I am everywhere.
I love that. Coggin was awarded the 2023 Don Munro Leadership in Arts Award for Visionary Service and the 2021 Governor's Arts Award for Art in Arkansas. Oh, wait. Yeah, for Arts and Education. She was twice named Best Poet in Arkansas by the Arkansas Times and nominated for Arkansas State Poet Laureate and Hot Springs Woman of the Year. I am going to turn it over. I know. Let's just take a moment to just send that good energy to you.
I feel it. I feel it. And I want to thank all of you, especially Malika. I want to thank you very much, but also thank all of you for being here tonight. Oh, where'd you go? No, I still see you. I feel you. But thank you so much for being here tonight to celebrate with me. My 5th collection, Mother of Other Kingdoms, came out with Harbor Editions on Earth Day just last Monday, and this week is filled with launching it into different spaces. And so thank you for opening your heart to these poems. I'm going to just get rolling. This book is a very tender book, as we were talking before the recording. It's vulnerable, but this is how I live. My wife and I have a wildlife sanctuary that's actually registered with the federal government. That just means that our property is suitable for all kinds of species to nest in and have their babies. And we have water sources and trees, and we don't hunt. We don't use pesticides or anything like that. We organic garden. So over the last decade or so, there have been lots of different beautiful creatures that are sharing our peaceful valley. So these poems are born in the spirit of all of that. And this one's for the poets. Priest of the Invisible. The poet is the priest of the invisible. Wallace Stevens. It's like we walk around with magnifying glass over our eyes, amplifiers tied to our ears, this close listen, this peer into and hear the infinitesimal movement of cells, reaching toward beauty, reaching toward light. And if we use our words to name it, to notice the unnoticed and make it holy with poem, we consecrate the mundane into the sublime, letter by letter, line by line. Okay, I'm turning off someone's keyboard, clack-a-lackin'. I don't know who that is. This one is called Knitting Sweaters for Hummingbirds, for Archilochus colubris. And something that I did in this book is I started using the taxonomy, the scientific name for all of the different species that I write about. And so I'm actively learning Latin pronunciation, so forgive me if they are incorrect. but Archilochus colubris is the ruby-throated hummingbird. Can't talk, knitting sweaters for hummingbirds. These words actually came out of her mouth, and she was joking around in a rush of protecting every precious thing before a spring freeze cold front ultimately blew in. But it's not far off from how much she actually cares for all of our winged, pawed, and hooved friends who share our peaceful valley. It's not beyond imagination compared to the close attention she gives to the every-colored birds, plants, flowers, trees, frogs, fawns, butterflies, and bees, every little life out there that might be voicing a need. It's like she hears them whispering to her in a vibration I cannot even see. And while the snow falls on a freak winter-clashing spring day, I can picture the jewel ruby throats of hummingbirds, safe and warm, protected with the invisible tiny tweed turtlenecks her thoughts knitted in her dreams. That's for my wife. Knitting sweaters for hummingbirds. This is called Hungers. For Autocoleus virginianus. The mother doe and her fawn have been eating all my flowers. I wake up to water a massacre of leaves, guillotined color, hoof prints left in moonlight. I imagine the vibrant pink roses and hibiscus crunching in their teeth, bursting bright hues, rich red dahlia petals lining their long, thick throats, the playful zinnias sliding through whatever curves deer intestines might wander like, and mammoth sunflower heads blooming 1,000 rising golden lights in the underbellies of this dear mother, her daughter, still spotted with newness. And I don't mind my flowers finding their masticating mouths, this wild decadence I planted from seed, making way to their hungers. I think I'm going to stick with some heavy nature ones this time, but this kind of gives you a human perspective of my feelings. So for context, I wrote this sonnet after reading Frank Sonnets by Diane Seuss, who just featured for virtual Wednesday night poetry last night. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's on my page. And I got to show her this poem, which was like, wow. This is called Clutch, after Diane Seuss. I drive to a playground and just listen to them laugh, watch as they spark conversations with each other, melt inside at imagination leading and questions not far behind. They glow outside of me, and my womb is an empty field of bleeding hearts. If there is truly the taste of regret stirred into this poem, it is warm milk leaking from my full breast into nothing's mouth. It is my arms formed into cradle, rocking no one back and forth. My lips mouthing silent songs, lullabying goodbyes to who was never born into hello. I drive to a playground, walk toward the whimsy of their day, sit on a small rusted horse on a fat metal spring and sway like a ghost. This is the lonely road of regret that leads to the grass underfoot of ache, the sighs of tomorrow empty of growing, the cycles of my uncreated children still sitting somewhere as stardust, hovering over me, waiting for the clutch of my hand to break through the sky. Under the table. My first boyfriend was in 5th grade, I guess. Renee Luna. Luna, like moon. Like, it's interesting thinking about the Luna moth I saw today. So in case you missed it, I saw a female Luna moth laying her eggs and have now rescued those eggs and the moth, who is still actively laying, and they're safe in a butterfly enclosure at my house, where we have a lot of their host plant growing, which is the sweet gum. And so when the mother dies after 4 to 7 days that she lives, those babies will be born and the caterpillars will eat up all the sweet gum that I will give to them. And then we'll have a bunch of Luna moths. So, okay, nerd session over. Back to this. Under the table. My first boyfriend was in 5th grade, I guess. Renee Luna. Luna like moon, like a dead planet, cold and empty. But at 11, I thought I would try boys before totally committing my life to the love of women, their softness. And he was left-handed, so we held hands in social studies under the table. I never even kissed him once. My best friend Carmen and his best friend Mark were a couple too, so it was a thing, this puppy love, more like puppy lost. And did I mention I never kissed him? And Carmen and Mark were probably running all the bases by that time, while I hid in the batter's box swinging at shadows. And I wouldn't say my first and only boyfriend ever was anything close to love, but more like a test drive of a car you know you don't want, this old clunker of a thing, and you take it for a spin just to see that the steering is all wrong and there's a weird smell. But he was a nice kid, and we held hands in social studies under the table, his right hand in my left, both of us diligently keeping our pencils moving so our teacher, Mr. Signs, wouldn't see. Under the table, secret, so no one else would see, especially Kelly Nelzine, whose blonde hair was so pretty. Bird watching. I'm sure we've got some birders in the room. Bird watching. They should just call it stillness. Absolute stillness and lots of waiting. Absolute waiting and not moving really at all. So try to blend in. Wear clothes that fade into the background. Hide among bushes and behind the arms of low trees. Statue yourself. Act natural. Merge with it all. Find peace within yourself. I know it sounds new age, but it's true. Quiet your always turning, churning mind. Find calm. Find motionless. Sway if the trees are swaying, though. Move slightly with the breeze if it blows. Hold on, their dryer is singing, and it's, can y'all hear the dryer singing? Okay, never mind. Vibrate on their wavelength, not yours. Have your camera ready, poised so that you do not have to lift it up to your eye. Propped so that your arms are resting on something, balcony railing, windowsill, branch, knee, so that you don't have to move too much when a bright wonder ever so briefly flies into your frame. Account for wing speed. Hummingbirds will take an adjustment to unblur the whir of their hover. Enjoy the vibrant displays of cardinal, indigo bunting, grosbeak, goldfinch, oriole. The sparrows, titmouse too, are beautiful. One in every few dozen photographs will be perfect. The others are just dances that have nothing to do with you. I love Karen's enthusiasm in her box. I feel so good seeing Karen just like applaud with such vigor and joy. I love you, Karen. This one is called Thirst, and it's for the elephant ear plant, which is a giant heart-shaped leaf. Thirst for Colocasia esculenta. This morning's wonder is brought to you by the way an elephant ear can hold a drop of water, as if in a wide green cup held in its own sentience, how it sits on the leaf in a perfect globe, unflinching in its wholeness, a sphere of light catching an early slant of sun rising. The drop does not roll away, does not disappear into the chlorophyll of it all, just holds steady in the elephant's impermeable insistence. Who notices these moments but the poets? Who takes the time to write of the way light shines through a single drop of water poised there on the morning leaf? Who sings the songs of these unheralded miracles but us minstrels, scribbling away in our quiet corners, mumbling in our lonely rooms where we pray in poems that these miracles never cease to find us, our eyes and hearts open, thirsty for a single drop. Aerial Caterpillar Ballet for Helisodota tessellaris. On my daybreak rounds, I spot a tiny acrobat squiggling wildly in the breeze, white, thorny little wiggler, possible stingers, a tufted tutu of spikes dressed in golden morning light, a pale tiger moth caterpillar, almost too small to identify, dancing in the wild like that, her red head glinting in the rising sun. I wonder to myself, how? How is this Lilliputian creature conducting her own aerial ballet? And I, her only audience, marveling as she bounces to birdsong, writhes wildly, flipping and floating, bobbing in the forest before my eyes, spinning with all her cares tossed to the treetops, her ballerina body bending in glorious arcs. How am I the only one seeing this right now? Am I imagining this? Am I dreaming? Am I high? On a typical morning where I could have used a miracle, watering the garden and thanking the flowers for being flowers, suddenly she appeared, gleaming like a Tinkerbell rendition in a community theater children's play of Peter Pan, rappelling down from the rafters or a tall mighty oak or heaven on an almost invisible silk line right to my line of sight, plump, tiny, spiky angel in white, whirling like a dervish, spinning the moment wholly, dancing ecstatic in all her freedom. Bungee cord shot from her mouth in a liquid stream, and as soon as it touched the air, becoming fine silk, spinneret miracle moving through her lips, dancing from her own daring to drop out from the sky. Oh, how I wish my words, spinning silk pure from the consciousness of my heart, would tumble out from my lips, touch the willing air, and become something someone else could hold on to, or a golden thread that I can hold on to myself when I am free falling, so I might dance without fear in a daring aerial ballet of my own. I'm going to do a few more nature ones and then close out. Pipe organs inside a Japanese wind chime for Calibian, California. This is the metallic blue mud dauber wasp. I'm really zooming in on this reading because I already told you all about the Luna moths, and I'm just kind of in this vibe. So the poems that I'm picking are just really zoomed into this little tiny world of arthropods, insects. But I promise there are human poems and animal poems and all, social justice stuff in here too, but let's stay tiny. Pipe organs inside a Japanese wind chime. My God, it's so hot everywhere. 17 million gallons of sewage just spilled into the ocean over breakfast. Redwoods matchstick and mountains weep charred snow. Another 21 wild species became history today. Oceans rise from ice caps melting and calving into the sea, all while we pretend we're surviving intersecting calamities. And reader, I just want to go outside, turn off the world breaking and listen. Listen as a metallic blue mud dauber wasp vibrates a song no one else has ever heard but me. I swear it. Tenor of hope here, inside the bellowing giant barrels of a precision-tuned Japanese wind chime my mom gave us as a wedding present last year. And now, this maternally expecting, nesting bright blue thing makes a tunnel of music inside a black metal pipe, singing a song of resilience in one of the higher chimes, If I had to guess it, in the key of G. Yes, here she is, blue blur building cradles of mud, creating a pipe organ inside her own church, this glorious buzzing and building, reverberating almost through the whole house if you listen close enough, powered in flight by the nectar of flowers. And don't you wish you could say the same thing about yourself? Honestly, I don't know where this poem is going, but today the heartbreaks and disasters, both global and deeply personal, are answered in this holy song, this tenor of building and buzzing, building and buzzing, building and buzzing, a mother's unseen labor, tuning fork of the universe, funneled down into mud making, a tunnel to some kind of good light, a nest for something to vibrate through, be it sorrow, be it prayer, be it love, be it hope of making it to the other side of all this dark. Listen. I said, listen. Turn off the world breaking for a moment and just listen. A mother is quietly building something out of nothing. The natural world still finds a way to sing. Karen, can I have you at all my readings? Do you guys see her box? It's so full of joy. Okay. This is about the common blue violet, which you will find out that I found out the name of it is actually the lesbian flower. The lesbian flower. And this week is Lesbian Week of Visibility. So here I am being visible. Lesbian flower for Sappho. Our hillside is blooming pale purple and blue this morning, lush with a rush of color after the rains. Soft, heart-shaped leaves pushing up through soil and splaying themselves open across a meadow. Vulnerable, fresh, saying, I am love itself. Newly sprung springtime is unfolding, and I bend at the waist into the lushness. Don't waste a moment fretting about guessing the names of these wild flowering things. The naturalist in me needs their true botanical handles. I zoom in with my plant ID app and snap to reveal the common blue violet, Viola sororia, also known as lesbian flower. What? What perfection! What queer botany! What synchronistic bliss that this wildflower, kissing by the thousands the whole of our hillside, is called the lesbian flower. Violet, purplish blue sky drop down to the earth, spreading here at home with supple hearts underfoot. The violet's nectar, says the app, is jarred loose by butterflies and bees who must burrow deep inside the flower to reach its sweetness. Lesbian flower, burrow deep, shake me loose. Nectar sweet blooms all along our wild valley, our hills and our curves. From the Isle of Lesbos, Sappho speaks in her ode to Aphrodite. Many crowns of violets, rose and crocuses, many scented wreaths made from blossoms around your soft throat. With pure sweet oil you anointed me, and on a soft gentle bed you quenched your desire. No holy site we left uncovered, no grove. This trove of lesbian love language, 10,000 lines of lyrics burned by men who could never love with such softness. Only 650 fragments remain, yet here on our hillside, my lover and I walk barefoot in the after-wet rain. Fresh violets, their edible petals and heart-shaped leaves stepping toward each other's heart-shaped hearts and heart-shaped hands, lips and tongues, burrow deep for the nectar. Edible flowers, lesbian flower, common blue violet, fragments burned into seeds over millennia, blooming here. Purpling blue, free and wild, 10,000 lines of lyrics, open and blushing, lush, wet petals, garlands and wreaths of violets, laurels of violets, Laureate of lesbian flowers, I sing my unfragmented, unsinged song to the poet who gave us her language of softness, throat, neck, lips, hips, thighs, strummed on her lyre, the music that pulses, 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 perennial through time and blooms blue here, this morning, my lover and I, wet with rain. I'm gonna have a sip of beer, hold on. Okay, 2 more. Tender and ache, for Apis mellifera. Tender and ache, I am an exposed bloom, a dandelion head with almost every wish blown away, still standing in an empty field with hope of fruiting a dream. Can you see why I mother every possible thing? Why the world becomes my womb and my hands a desperate sanctuary? I rescued a bumblebee from between the window pane and plastic sheeting of the greenhouse, a big bear of a bee, fuzzy and stunned, on the brink of untimely death. Who knows how long he waited for rescue? I cupped his slow body in my hand and walked out to the lilac tree laden with blooms and laid him inside a cluster of heavy scented petals. If you die, at least die happy inside here, friend, I said to him, and his weakened bee arms clutched around the soft white flowers as though he was hugging them so tightly. Then stillness. I checked on him every hour while I gardened, and in a few hours he buzzed by me on my way to the lilac. I'm alive! A heavy song of thanks, a flight line of gratitude. This is how I mother. I rock the smallest species to sleep, lullaby our deepest human apologies into their innocent ears. That same day, 5 million honeybees being shipped to Alaska to pollinate orchards on ice shelves were rerouted by Delta Airlines. They waited on a hot tarmac in Atlanta for hours. Hotlanta, record-breaking heat, the Weather Channel meteorologist joked. The bees died in droves, lifeless yellow-black piles, bodies by the crateful, 800 pounds of dead honeybees, an oversight, lost in the machinery of luggage and transit, moved and left to swelter and starve. 5 million bees, and no lilacs to save them, no open hands, no sweet-petaled embrace, no song of forgiveness whispered into their golden honeyed hives, just the tragic end of 5 million precious pollinating lives. Tender and ache, my mother nature heart breaks into 5 million pieces. I stand in a field and buzz with morning. I'm at the house of the little girl that I mentioned in this next poem, and she's upstairs running around, and it's really cute that she wasn't even born yet when I wrote this poem. But the poem itself is not that cute. It is about our rights as women. No choice. Since the Supreme Court land-grabbed our bodies back to 1973, I've been searching for wombs inside other lives, asking if they know they have more freedoms than human bodies who can carry a child. I scream inside the deep wells of certain flowers, purple columbine, golden bells, red hibiscus, a floating white lotus, all with their impervious blooming, their wildness, their capability to wither at the whim of wind. I Google female sex organ of a flower and laugh at the irony of the word pistil, how a pistil in the flower kingdom carries an ovary and a stigma that has no shame. But in the human names, an ovary has the stigma of men's desires, and a pistil has less regulation than my womb. An AR-15 assault rifle in a classroom has more autonomy than the little girl it just blew bullets through. My heart keeps breaking at this country. I plead for light into the 1,000 faces of a mammoth sunflower, and they bow their pitying heads, set 1,000 suns. I sit on my deck among the mourning doves cooing in the pine, and I too mourn what I thought was mine, this body, this skin and cells, this flesh, this bone. I am beyond mothering. I know my body will never home or vessel a child, but this red state will bleed redder still with the trigger band signatures of these scheming leaders, enforcing an unholy law that strips us of all our dignity and ability to do what is best and right for our own damn bodies. I scream into my valley, and my mountains scream back. I clip my fingernails, and these little crescent moons ask me about ownership. Which cells of mine have been sold to the highest bidders? Which organs no longer do my own bidding? In 2 weeks, I will become Auntie Kai to a little girl, Luca, who's upstairs, a niece who I cannot wait to meet, a sweet life who I have already met in my dreams, a new baby girl born into a world where she has more protection in her mother's womb now than she will when she comes out. Little girl, what is this world we have shaped for you when you have no choice but to be born into it? And this is my final poem. Thank you all so much for holding these poems with me and feeling them with your heart. This is called It's Not That I Can't Have Children. It's not that I can't have children, that my body is not a house. It's just that my life never had a chance to make room, did not open in a way to make itself a womb. The timing of years between my lover and mine, the age of different periods of mothering inclining and declining at the same time. There just was never the solid enough ground of myself, or the chance even. A man was not in the cards, and I never even played from that deck, so it never really became a possibility. And I'm almost at the apex of this want, this deep yearning to hold a child of my own flesh and bone, to make my body a home. But perhaps that proverbial ship has sailed, and the life that I have created is the life that I have, the life that I love. Perhaps my womb has turned outward somehow, and my heart is fertility itself. Perhaps I have always been a mother, without a human child, searching for my children in the trees, in the understory of ancient forests, hidden under smooth stones, in warm fur-covered bodies, in wing tuft and claw, in the exoskeletons of nymphs, phylums that lack a sort of mothering that I can give. So I tend to the wild ones. I mother other kingdoms, rock every other species to sleep, the green and howl and pulse and bloom. It's not that I can't have children, it's that I already do. Thank you so much. Get your
That
signed copy at
Ah.
KaiCoggin.com.
That last line is still sitting with me. People, y'all can unmute. Yeah, Shamala, I see your face. Yes. Yes.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
Kai, we can reach out to you for a signed copy. I'll
Yeah, I'll
put
put the
your
link in the
email.
chat.
Thank you.
I can
That's
put the link to
perfect.
it in the chat there for you. Okay.
Thank you, Kai. That was
Thank you so
just
much,
gorgeous.
everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Spectacular.
Hi,
Thank
Gina.
you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening.
Can we also mention that the cover is painted by her wife? It's a picture
Oh.
of Kai. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on spotlight so everybody can see it. I mean, it's such a
Okay.
gorgeous
Oh, okay, gorgeous.
Such a
Oh my gosh.
gorgeous one.
So
There we
this
go.
little guy is Genghis, and he was our dog for 15 years. He passed away in November 2022, but this actually happened in life. It was a photograph, and she made it into this gorgeous painting for the cover. And the reason that I wanted this book to come out on Earth Day is obviously because it's filled with, the natural world and the more than human world and all of that. But Earth Day was also Genghis's birthday. And
Oh,
so,
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
and I didn't say that in a lot of the other readings, but I feel really safe here to say that. And so it was
That's
he's always with me. He was the one that really gave me the chance to feel like a mother. And whatever you believe, I don't care. It's my feeling. um, but it's just that there was that really special bond between me and Genghis. And so Joanne painted this, and it's kind of like it lives on. That love and the spirit and the essence of that lives on now in this book cover. And there's poems about him in the book too, and about Joanne. And thank you for saying that, Malika. Yeah,
Oh, I
she's
didn't want to
so
miss it because
talented.
I absolutely love that painting itself just radiates such love. And there was so many when you see the chat section, Kai, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, it's like we timed it because I swear at least four of us at the same time would say the exact same thing.
Oh, that's
It
awesome.
was really
Thank you so
unreal.
much, everyone.
Yeah.
I just really
Oh,
felt how much you were absorbing those poems, and I just, if you can lift that up and amplify those images, and the natural world is crying for help right now, and it needs more than one mother, that's for sure. It needs fathers too. So anything that
yes.
you can do, this book is a call to action to just stop and slow down and look closer and appreciate the natural world a little bit more. Um, Try to eat less meat, even once a week. I've been a vegetarian for many years, but even that is a big deal, and it helps. It helps. So I'm not going to get into all of that recycling business,
That
but
was
just it's
I
important to
enjoyed that there was that call and there was that call in the poems and I think it was maybe hearing all of them together and how you kept coming back to, poets and having that voice,
yeah.
having that call to slow down and, be outside and just notice. I thought it was beautiful. And the images are so gorgeous that sometimes I forget like how sonically your poems are built so beautifully too. And in a couple of
Oh,
them, I
thank
would
you.
become aware. I was like, oh my gosh, sometimes I'm being lulled by the images. I'm just in that space. And then I hear the music that you really weave into your poems. And I come back out and I'm
Mm,
like, oh, that's right. It's double
thank
skilled,
you.
it's going in different directions. Does anybody have any questions? I know we're all still sitting in this place of awe and
Stay
gratitude.
there, stay in the awe. And that's some feedback that I've gotten at the last three of my readings, is that when I'm done, people are kind of in this like almost altered state, like and I want you to stay there. Andrea Gibson at my launch said that awe can save the world. You can't feel awe and shame at the same time, or awe and anger at the same time. So awe and wonder, those things, it's so fleeting, but we need it. We need it to keep surviving through all of this darkness that we have to face every single day. There's just such hopelessness in so many aspects of the world, but stopping for a moment and seeing the things that are surviving despite us, with us, through us, that it's inspiring, and it helps us continue
Mm,
this human experience. And the thing about the title, if you think about taxonomy, kingdoms, we're all in the same kingdom. We're in the kingdom Animalia. So all the little
yeah.
creatures that I talked about, we're all in the same kingdom. We're in this together. So it's interesting when you start to open your eyes to the natural world. They'll speak to you. They'll cross your path. You'll hear their bird songs, and Malika, you were talking about your bluebirds, and they're everywhere. We are nature. We're not separate from it. We are the natural world. You are a species within the natural world. We've done a lot to destroy it lately, but we're still in it. There's still hope. There's still so many people out there that are trying to find solutions to these problems. And so my job as a poet is to try to amplify the beauty before it's gone, save it.
I think the Blue Mud Dauber poem has all of that. Like I just that one in particular really just created a space like a cathedral, but also the awareness of, yes, all this is going on. But listen, can you hear this? It was beautiful. I wanted to sit inside that poem.
So there's a part 2 to that poem, and I don't want to give away too much, but it's super nerdy. And so the mud dauber stuffed a bunch of mud into this one barrel of the Japanese wind chime. And so when the wind was blowing around, all the different chimes would make their beautiful sound, except for the one that she had built all those little mud rooms in. And that one would just go bink, bink. So it would be like this beautiful Japanese Zen sound, and then bink, bink. So there's a poem in there that's just about that. And it goes really nerdy into, what that mud dauber wasp does. And the things that they do are so fascinating. Their design, just all of the natural world, the things that they do that we don't even have any awareness of. It's inspiring because it's part of this grand design, and we are all so connected that even these tiniest creatures, they all have a purpose. They all have their job. And when one of those tiny creatures, when something happens or disrupts their species, it has repercussions like all throughout, the natural world. And so, like, why do we care about monarchs? Why do we care about bees? It matters. I'm going to step back a little bit, but y'all get it.
It all matters. That makes me,
Yeah.
just happy to hear you talk about it. Did I miss any questions? Yeah, Shamala said we need to cultivate that feeling of awe. And
So
I
I
think
don't,
tonight, go ahead.
I said, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I really love the way you're writing because there are things that I take in life for myself. Like I was in a swimming pool and there was a bumblebee and they were wrapped around each other. And I thought, and I could see one was still alive. And so I swished them out of the pool and they broke apart. One was the male and the other was the female. And I comforted her for 30 minutes while I
Wow.
watched her recover and sat near her, took photographs of her. And it was so tender, right? Knowing that her life is very short, but our moment would last a lifetime because she would
Yeah,
never
awesome.
forget that, and nor would I.
Exactly. And
I love
thank you.
the of what you're
the
saying.
awareness.
It's just
Thank
beautiful
you.
to meet other souls who live that way too.
Thank you so much for that comment and for doing that. If you can encounter a bee or a bug or a bird that's crashed into a window, or, and you can help it. You can try to help it. And so just that little act, pulling it out of the water so it didn't drown, even if no one in the world saw that moment, it mattered. It mattered to you, it mattered to that bee, and that act of kindness ripples out. That's energy. That's energy on the good side. There's all kinds of stuff on the bad side of the scale right now, and things are really unbalanced. But what you did, that act of kindness, that act of tenderness and care matters. It matters. And so it kind of, shifts that balance a little bit. So keep doing that.
It's
It's
why
a
I live
beautiful,
that way. Yeah. That's
yeah.
that's a natural thing. Most people
So
don't even know that occurred for me because I don't share those things very often unless I'm in a space like this one where I'm reminded, like, oh yeah, I had this really cool experience.
yeah. So you're a mother of other kingdoms too. It's nice to meet you. We're not alone.
Yeah.
There are a lot of us. There are a lot of us.
Pua ali'i, meet Pai. Kai, meet Pua ali'i. That's beautiful.
Beautiful.
But
Are you in
that's the
Hawaii?
space that you created.
What did you ask me?
I asked you if you were in Hawaii or you have a Hawaiian
I have a
background.
Hawaiian name, but I am in Washington.
Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Nice to meet you.
You too.
This is one of my sisters.
I feel that.
Become family.
Totally.
Do we? So lucky. Does anybody else have something they want to share or some thought? Karen,
Are
you
we
look
doing
like
an
you
open
started
mic?
to say something.
I,
Yep, we are heading to open mic soon.
I just thank you, Kai. I just want to thank you
Mm,
for writing what you write and sharing the way you share. It just is so incredible. Yeah,
oh,
it means a
thank you,
lot.
Karen. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Thanks for receiving it with such joy and
Oh,
openness. That means a lot to me.
yeah.
Judy, you wanted to say something?
I want to say something.
Mm,
Okay.
come
Hey,
on,
Regina.
sis.
Hi.
Hi, hon.
So like I love Kai. I hope Kai
Mm,
knows that. Does Kai know that? Kind of.
Kai knows
Kai
that.
knows that
Yeah.
Kai has been and I have Malika every time I think about Kai, I thank Malika for just kind of leading me in her direction. And just we've never met in person, but I feel like I really, really know her. And she's been so pivotal in just my journey in this journey that I'm taking at this not so young age.
Mm,
So
mm,
I just want to say that. And I also want to say you put out so much beauty,
mm,
even
Mhm.
even when you're discussing topics that aren't beautiful, the things that we see going on in our world that are just often horrible. Um, so I just pray that the beauty that you give to people um, be given back to you 10,000 fold.
oh,
Yes.
Thank you for
Yay.
that, Regina. Well, I want to show you. I didn't get to show everybody, but
Yeah.
this is what I encountered today on my Master Naturalist hike. We were hunting for lady slippers, which is a rare orchid that blooms right now, and I found this mother Luna moth that I thought
Mm.
was dead. And these little black things right here, those are eggs.
Oh, wow.
And a Luna moth is really, really rare to see because they're nocturnal and you can't see them during the day. But she was doing this business, laying her eggs before she dies. They only live 4 to 7 days.
Yeah,
They don't
No.
even have mouths. They do not
I'm
eat.
sure he's not.
Um,
I'm online, buddy.
their only
Cal, go
purpose
ahead and mute.
their only purpose is to mate and to lay eggs. And so I found her, and I brought it home. I brought it home and have it in a butterfly enclosure. And like Malika said, I'm going to be a Luna moth grandmother probably,
Yay.
because we have a bunch of the sweet gum that the caterpillars eat on our property. So, when you say that, Regina, about beauty coming back to me for what I'm putting out, this is how it manifests right now. A great blue heron landed in our lake the other day while it was raining. I mean, just these beautiful moments and affirmations from the natural world. And that's what sustains me and renews me and allows me to continue to do this human work. So nature feeds me so that I can, you know, pour into humanity the way that I do. So that's the Luna Mama.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
That's beautiful. Well, Kai, I just want to thank you so much for writing these poems. And something that Regina said, even when, you're speaking truth to power, you're talking about difficult things, I get a sense of like hope still and the belief that we can do better. And I don't know how that fits into your work, but I feel it. And that's powerful. That's something powerful.
When I wrote
Um,
this, or when I put this collection together, it was after my last 3 books. 2 books were really political, really acts of resistance. I was writing poems in order to stay alive and to combat tyranny and to just fight for my damn life as a queer brown woman in Arkansas, in America, and then during COVID and all that, I was literally writing just to save my life. And my poems in Mining for Stardust and in Incandescent reflect that sort of raw warrior spirit. But I was tired. I got tired. I got tired of fighting so much in that way. And so I turned inward to find renewal, and that's where these poems were born. Also, I became a master naturalist a couple of years ago, and that just flipped my whole world. It gave me a whole new language, a whole new lens to navigate the world. A tree wasn't just a tree anymore. A bird wasn't just a bird, it's like all these other words for bird, or all these other grosbeak and indigo, but and it's just, as a poet and a word nerd like we are, getting a whole new dictionary of language to like write about is just amazing. So it healed me, the process of writing these poems, but I had kept them really close to my chest. They're very tender. There's poems in here that address the mortality of my wife. My wife is 27 years older than me, and grief and the fear that she's not going to be around is a real thing that comes across in these poems. And so I write about that, and it's a theme that keeps coming up. And there are a lot of different tender things that I wrote, but putting them in this book somehow gives permission, or was healing for not just me, but seemingly everyone that's heard the poems so far. They're like, this was beautiful, this helped, I needed to hear this, I needed to be in that space. And so yeah, that's kind of why the journey of this book is really different. I was amplifying tyranny before, and now I'm amplifying bees and caterpillars and butterflies and stuff. And I think we need more than that. We need more of that. We need to turn down all the darkness, because it's not going to stop. It's always going to be right there. And we need to amplify more of the light and the hope and the beauty, especially as poets, because we're so sensitive and we see everything, and we notice things, and we need to bring those jewels to the rest of humanity that doesn't notice those things. And they're just down there in the dark, surviving, We're like, but what about this? Have you seen this little caterpillar? You see, or whatever it is that
Moments
you're
of wonder.
passionate about. Yeah,
Moments of wonder,
So
moments of awe. I think all of that puts us back in that place of gratitude and noticing. Rarely are we where our feet are, and to have a moment that we are right where our feet are standing is pivotal. It's pivotal. It is how we heal, I think, a lot. But those poems are just beautiful. I'm gonna be coming back to those. I know, is there any other questions, or we can go to open mic? Can we take a
Well,
moment just to say
open
thank you,
mic,
Kai?
open mic.
Open.
oh,
mic.
thank you, Kai. Oh my goodness.
Thank you all, friends. Thank you so much
Y'all,
for
Elizabeth.
being here.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So beautiful. I was so caught up in being excited about tonight that I didn't take anybody's name down for open mic. So why don't we just have somebody raise your hand, and we'll go in that manner. Okay, Marjorie, jump on in, and then I saw Regina, and then Cal.
I wasn't planning
Marjorie.
on reading this, but what Kai just said about knowing the names of things is kind of about not knowing the names of things. So I thought I'd read this one. This is called Two Birds Mating on a Wire, a relatively new one. Because I don't know the names of things, I call them small birds, these two so still in their companionship, and then a flutter, a hop and mount. No song to confirm without my glasses on, the will to name what I don't know. Because things look like others, I call them chickadee, wren, love, instinct. Blurred vision marries want, tells the nature of companionship, the afterthought of then that makes up now. Small birds, pretend nothing as you move close, away, loyal to wire until the lure of sky causes you to know, name the things you and I are not. Drab creatures of habit, wingless to land and leave so freely. We stare, compare all to full-feathered companionship, and then lift off into the nature of want, trilling definitions of contentment or complaint. Small birds, we call what we can't name or know, the cause of things, flight, companionship, love, our steady now and then.
Marjorie, I love
But
it.
I that just came
Small
into my
birds
mind with
pretend nothing
what
as
Kai
you
just
move
said.
away. Well, I think the longing to know what to call. I mean, if you see a group of people, if you never meet them as individuals, it's not the same thing, right? And we
Absolutely.
start to have the names and ask those questions. Yeah, perfect poem up for the moment. Thank you, Marjorie. Regina?
Hi, everybody. This poem is entitled Free Space. Recently, I saw, as I was driving through my neighborhood, positioned just off a major drive within my city, a deer and her baby at a curb between two houses. I slowed, giving her space to navigate safely across the street. My neighborhood, largely unadorned with any significant number of trees and natural water sources, seemed quite an unnatural place to see them. I wondered how this beautiful creature, this gentle spirit who shepherded her beloved progeny, had ended up here in this loveless, spaceless terrain. Surely, I thought, that the natural places for fauna existed somewhere, and I began to take inventory of where in the world they could go and be free. And then it struck me that finding space is really more than finding place. It's also finding grace. I fell asleep on that thought, but days later I awoke to another revelation, a revelation that reminded me that many people walk round and round, across, up and down, or are even shackled in spacelessness. They are standing at borders, trafficked over water and through lands in spaceless places, large and small, and find themselves in situations cramped and hostile, in conditions decidedly unnatural, with no space to grow and no love offered. For space is more that which can be cordoned or touched or bordered or bought. It is the untouchable, the sometimes hidden, the room of rest and requirement, the full pockets of opportunity in which we so often want to find ourselves. For space is also a commodity that can be offered, bought, expanded, shrunken, revoked, inflicted, gifted, and retracted, even scammed away. In space, we live, we have our being. In spacelessness, we live sad, hungry, unfulfilled. Many journey to another time, another place, searching for space. Space is what I crave, humble or grand, elementally, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. Space is what I crave. In COVID time, quarantine, work from home, meet from home, eat at home, create at home, I took the time and space to say, I am leaving spaces in which I am considered to be of no value. So leaving Zoom meetings, putting up my peace out picture, saying no, taking time to create. Indeed, I created a space in which I began to flourish, to find myself. Years have passed, quarantine has passed, and life in many ways seems not to have learned and has largely returned to its abnormal, dressed as normal, fickle self, running, dodging, waving space in front of me and trying to snatch it back. But where do I go? On yesterday, for not the first time since the world reopened, I felt deeply the heaviness of encroaching, building spacelessness when I experienced a sharp and stabbing chase from desired space in a room that should have been filled with love. I saw me, a deer, standing between two houses, wondering where in the world I could go and be, and how can I flee or rebuild a space that will keep me whole and free. Today, space heard me, sought me, and came with pocketbook handles in the crooks of its arms, hanging in the crooks of your arms, beaming from your faces. Space shamans you are, You have created this space and invited me in. Every snap and clap, a sanctified ring dance. Every word, a holy war song. Every face, grace. Every body, space. I am but one holy space nestled in this holy place. Thank you for the water. Thank you for the haven. Thank you for the love.
Hells yeah. Oh, Regina, that was gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah, that just went everywhere. Space shamans. I'm down for that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Regina. Cal, I have you and then I have Laura. If I've missed anybody, please let me know.
Okay. This poem is about a busy night at a convenience store near NC State, and it's called Impact. It's Monday, and he looks up for the full moon, but that was Friday. Blue light haze, high lit with strobes, illuminates the side lot as he parks at the getaway spot near the car-sized box that says ICE. In the midst of 4, or is it 5, RPD, blue and whites, one officer questions a guy reclined in the passenger seat of a white van, foot stuck straight out, sweats pulled to knee. This corner world swirls with hurried people pretty much like any other night. Inside, a chunky young crew cut cop comes to the counter to buy his monster. So the clerk asks, "What's going on?" He says, "All I know is I saw the lights, pulled in, and my buddy says, 'Here, stand by this guy. If he runs, catch him.'" A woman saw 5 guys prone in a row in pine mulch, face down, cuffed behind backs, being watched. Tedessa says he thinks there was a fight. By 1 a.m., it's quiet. Tad, the Ethiopian anthropologist, is bagging trash. Whoops. I'm sorry. I'll start that stanza again, I think. By 1 a.m., it's quiet. Tad, the Ethiopian anthropologist, is bagging trash. And now there's a siren and more lights, an EMT truck, followed by a very big fire rig, more cops. He works the register line down from 3 to none and walks out, turns the corner to where she said the fight was, sees a lady being helped out of a dirty moon-hued Honda, turns to a fireman and asks, "What happened?" The man just shrugs. Tad makes a note to the day crew that the owner of the car is probably at Wake Med, no name. It's 2:45. Dead leaves wander between the pumps. The waning gibbous, 80% full, is going down. A pale green Luna moth is spinning on its nose, then soars up a foot, banks, stalls, and crashes, shaped like a B-52 with B-1 stealth swept wings. There's a war on somewhere winding down so another one can wind up, and the brains of Africa are oozing out of there into here. He thinks he read a letter Ken Patchen wrote to God in 1958 saying, "We are things of the same kind." Did Ken say that or God? Raises his head when tires scream, sliding through the red light. Thank you.
Thank you, Cal. Yeah, it's definitely Luna Moth Day, and we are things of the same kind. I have Laura, then Pua Ali'i, then Karen. Laura,
Don't
you're
forget
next.
Shamala.
Okay, finally got myself unmuted.
Oh, and Shamala, thank you.
All right, I had a poem I was going to read, but it was a little too dark. And I finally dug up something I think is a little more appropriate for this evening. This is called Sing Me Home. Bird song on mountaintop, calling, calling, draws me up the cloud-shrouded cove to the ridge line with its crown of spruce. Nearby in a stand of white oak, with twisted limbs crippled by weather, stunted by altitude, sits the homestead with its petticoats of mountain laurel. Faintly, so faintly, I hear the tune. Sweet sharp fiddle, sing me home. Thank you.
Oh, I love it. The petticoats of mountain laurel. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Laura. Pua Ali'i and, oh, good, you're already unmuted.
Yep. So I am going to, because I'm on a cell phone, you're not going to see me. You'll hear me though. I think that's what you said, right, Malika? Last time I did
That
this.
works fine. Yeah, it's fine. That works fine.
Okay, great. Can you see me still?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, great. So it's called Expansion. Fulfilling my spiritual purpose. God's song lulls me into the safety I know from the womb. I've learned to say yes to spiritual activities, ones that raise my vibration. A call to meet glory, standing, not shrinking before the holy. I've learned to say yes to spiritual activities, ones which impacts my contribution to humanity. I drink from the glass of our conversations. I've learned to say yes to spiritual activities, ones which sear my connections with others. I'm either going to grow from this or wish I had. I've learned to say yes to spiritual activities, ones which cause me to smile for a day well lived.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, people are putting comments. If I didn't remind y'all, after you read, please check the comments because we're lighting up over here. We do love our open mics. We do rock.
Yeah.
Thank you. Karen, to you.
Okay. I just wanted to say I enjoyed your massive, incredibly amazing event last night. The poets, the open mic, it was just, I'm still pouring through it. Anyway, it was like a full sensory religious experience for me here in the studio by myself last night. Um, and Suzanne Frischkorn, I'm not familiar with her poetry at all. And she just started by showing her book and saying, "This is my book, Whipsaw." And I don't know what happened. I was like, "Whipsaw? How is that a word I've never heard? What in the world?" And so I was like, well, I got to find out what a whipsaw is. And then I don't know, it just sent me into there's just something. Does everybody else know what a whipsaw is? How did I not know that? Okay, good. Christy, thank you for at least playing along. It's the big long saw that like one guy gets at one end and the other guy, right? It's like the cartoon saw, but it's really a thing. Anyway, so I'm reading about that because I'm totally geeking out. It's something I don't know about. And I don't know why it just sent me to a place where I was thinking about the two people on either end and they're trying to get through something. Anyway, it ended up being a mother poem, but here it is. Earth Day Whipsaw 2024. The sticky of the plank hard half stick of juicy fruit in the bottom of your purse folded into its tiny pocket of tinfoil. The shiny lavender purse with the loud brass snap, keeping its pursed lips silent in your lavender lap and nice lavender shoes. I am lying, conjuring wishful thinkings. You know, I can smell your wind song on my mind, can hear wind chimes in the needing more of your laugh I still wish for. There was so very seldom enough wind for singing chimes. A poet speaks such smoke into curling up into trees. I know the calling of mourning doves. Always we answer each other.
Oh, I love that. We answer each other. Thank you, Karen. And the back
It was
story.
beautiful, Karen. Beautiful.
Whipsaw, y'all. I don't know. Whipsaw.
And wind song. You got the perfume in there. I had a whiff of it. Thank you for that.
Right? Did everybody's mother wear windsong at some point? I don't know.
It was a requirement. It was in the manual or something. Shamala?
This is thank you all for and Kai for this wonderful, wonderful journey into the tiny infinities in your land and our shared space. This is a prose poem with 10 parts, and I'm only going to read the first one. Summer in coastal Connecticut. The air is rich with salt, moist with the promise of rain, and I am thirsty now. Alone, divorced. I drive to the beach, seeing everyone else is driving away from it. There is only one other car there, one other brown woman, fellow monsoon daughter, lost like me. I came to see the rain, she says. Yes, I say. We share secret, trembling smiles. Everyone else went away. We raise our faces to the sky, our hair streaming and tangling in the wind. Lightning flashes approach, then thunder, then rain that falls as if God is washing the floor of heaven with a river. We are wet to our underwear instantly and cling together, laughing with wet lips.
Ah, that's gorgeous. Monsoon daughter.
That was decadent. That was so beautiful. Wow.
And I'm sitting next to between jungle and ocean now, trying to get my head around what has happened here in the time I've been away. There's still birds in the jungle and more species of crabs on the beach than I have ever seen in one beach. But also the water sport here doesn't mean scuba and swimming, but speedboats. And these beautiful places are just being so anyway. But thank you, Kai, for bringing us to resonance with the world.
Thank you
Oh,
so much. Thank you for your word combination, Tiny Infinities. Just thank you for that poem too. And I love that these poems called you all to sort of refocus on your own natural worlds. And again, the natural world is all around us, and we are the natural world. So you don't really have to look very far. Thank you for that poem.
I want to have that last phrase just kind of stay there. You don't have to look very far. Oh, thank you so very much, everybody, for being here and creating community. I'm really glad that everybody was here. And Kai, thank you for bringing us into your kingdoms and showing us these tender, beautiful spaces. Really important work.
Thank you for this
And
tender and beautiful space. And thank you all for sharing it and holding it with me. And Malika, thank you for fostering this tender and beautiful space. It's always an honor to share this space.
it has been my blessing to be a part of it. I'm just grateful. Be well, everybody. And I will
There's the
see
link
you.
if you want it. I just put the
Yeah.
link in the chat there for y'all if you want.
Perfect. If people want to take a moment to make sure that you get that so that you can get a signed copy. So everybody got a chance to get it? Cut and paste, people, cut and paste.
I'm hoping mine's on its way.
It will be
Yes.
soon. It sure will be. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, everybody. I love you,
Awesome,
Regina.
guys.
I love
Be
you.
well.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.